My name is Mary Jo Monteith, and I'm from here in Grand Coulee. And we started attending the Elmira Community Church about 12 years ago. My husband and myself, Mervyn, and my parents, Ted and Lynn Davis. And we started coming up the hill. It's about a 22-mile drive, just because we had been looking for a while for a church to replace the one we had been in that had closed here in Electric City. And so we tried a few churches, and Elmira Community Church fit us at that time with Pastor Dave preaching, and we enjoyed it and had started going there. We became involved in the church with missions and missions group, and my dad, Ted, and I sit on the missions board, and so we became involved that way and enjoyed the ministry. When Pastor Dave came and said that he was leaving, we were concerned. My husband says, yeah, it's just like we start going to church, and then as soon as we're there, the pastor leaves. And it happened to us a number of times. This wasn't the first time. So we just decided that Elmira Community Church is where we belonged. And the steadfastness of the church and the leadership in the trustees that were choosing a pastor and going through that whole process of hiring Pastor Paul to come on was a growth and a strong point for the church. And that shows the strength of the church. And it is not just the pastor, but it's the body. And that is the strength of the church. And I think that relying on that and growing with that has been the foundation for us here at Coulee Dam. About a year and a half ago, when Pastor Paul came to us and spoke to us about starting a church down here in Coulee Dam, at first I was like, sure, that'd be a great thing to do. Let's do that. And not long after that, I thought, we're probably just going to be a few people sitting in a pew, and it's probably going to be like the Church of the Frozen Chosen, and we'd just be a few there. And is that really what I wanted to do? I said yes, but then I started really thinking about that. Maybe that's not what I want to do. Elmira is comfortable. I could even rent my pew out. I'd been in that same pew for so long. I could, if you weren't there, people knew you weren't there. So we said yes, we would do it. One of the strong points of making that decision and going forward was not just, we're going to go do this, but then it was a call to prayer and a call to pray for the community, a call to pray for people that would be in the pews. And I think that was a really strong place to start. We spent about a month working towards that. Didn't do it every day, did some time, different times, but the opening of the church was started on prayer. And it wasn't just something like, oh, let's do this. It was a foundation of prayer to start the body here. So when we started, it started with a bang. That first Sunday was like, it was amazing, the worship and the presence of the Holy Spirit in the body, and the presence of the Holy Spirit in the meeting, and that has changed. It hasn't changed at all. It's just continued. If you come to the church and if you sit in the pew, it's comfortable, it's warm, and it's friendly. And I think that's just continued to grow. Hebrews 11:1. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, evidence not seen. And if you go back and you look at that full chapter and what it really says, it says those people that were in the Old Testament, and he brought forward in that story in chapter 11, that their faith made a foundation for us. That his purpose was that they had promises that they believed and trusted was going to be fulfilled. We're seeing that in that scripture, that chapter says that their faith built the foundation for us to be here. So in taking that forward, where is our faith in Elmira Community Church and Coulee Dam? That our faith is going to be building for the future, and God has a plan for that. And I'm just happy to be a part of that. I'm happy to be a part of being involved, even more so here, being here, trusting what he wants to do with his family, with his body. And I've grown in trusting more. My faith has grown, and it continues to grow. And even this morning, the scripture that he gave this morning to me was, trust me, I'm your strength, I'm your rock. He's the rock of ages, and we can stand and trust in him.
We're Mark and Sandy Ross, and we've kind of been in this area for about going on 4 years. About 4 years ago, we took a job down at the dam, and we were living in Post Falls, Idaho. Kind of grew up and had been there for a lot of years and raised our kids there. And as time kind of went on, I was running back and forth to Coeur d'Alene, Spokane area the whole time. And so I never really connected here because I just came to work here and I left during, at the end of the week. And then as our kids got older and moved out, we realized at a certain point we were empty nesters. And so we sold everything just about, our home, and came out here and have been living in an RV for the last year, or a little longer now, I guess. And when we got here, we were, of course, looking for a church right away. And it wasn't something I had really done before until Sandy came.
Yeah, we have moved a lot. My husband was in the Coast Guard for 20 years, and we were married 16 of those. And so we knew that church family was what we needed. And so we heard about Cooley Dam Community Church from a gal who was all excited about hearing that the Presbyterian Church was gifting this church to the Elmira Community Church. And so she told us all about it. And so that's when we started looking for it to come and started waiting for the opening.
We actually arrived a week early, pulled in front of the building, and there was nothing going on yet.
Forgot about that.
Yeah. But we had visited up at Elmira a couple times, just to kind of get a feel for everything, and really liked it. We really needed a church that had a philosophy of come as you are, and we're all broken in some way or another, and some of us just hide it better than others, but we all need Jesus. And we loved that we found over time, we loved that this church was great with grace, and wasn't content to sit within its walls, but really just wanted to reach out into the community and show Christ. And that was a huge thing, because the church we came from started that way and was still that way, but it got very large, and so to have a brand new thrust into the community like this was a big deal for us. We were really pleased to come across this church, and we got here and we were so welcomed and so invited in, and just immediately felt like this was home. For a while we were in a position where we didn't know what we were doing, because it wasn't real long after we were here that I was offered another position. It was an advancement, and
Out of town.
yeah, I was out of town. I was down in Oregon, and went down and was kind of ready to do it. And then on the way back, we realized we'd be further away from family, but we had also fallen in love with this church and its people, and decided we didn't need to go anywhere. And work and position-wise, enough was enough, and it was the best decision we made. Felt an instant peace about the whole thing, and we just loved being part of this church.
Mike and
Mary Schilling.
we came here for quite a few years, once a month or maybe, if even that. And then we found out that you were opening back up under a different name, and I just honestly came because Mary wanted to. I wasn't real excited about it. But since then, I guess I've sort of felt drawn to it. That was something that was missing in my life. I didn't think I ever needed it. Needed to have any kind of friends or any kind of fellowship. I did pretty well on my own, or so I thought. And so for me, that's been nice to get that and to have that on a weekly basis.
So I grew up in the Presbyterian Church, and we had come here a few times, off and on. You know, when you have kids, you want to raise your kids in the church, or I did. And so I did a whole lot of dragging the family to church, which was really positive for everybody. And
yeah, the kids used to holler and get mad, and I was thinking, knock that off, but that's how I feel.
So our kids grew up and off they went to school and life. And last October or late September, we got the mail, and there was this giant postcard that looked like one of those ones from the auto dealer that we won a new car. But it was, I think it had Seahawks stuff or some football on it. It was something with the football game, and I don't know. Anyway, so it was a big postcard, and brought it home and threw it on the counter, and we were both like, hey, let's go check it out.
Well, you were
See
like
what-
that.
Okay. So I said, okay, let's go to church on this Elmira church is doing a church plant in Cooley Dam. And
I said, yes, that sounds awesome.
exactly how I want a Sunday.
How long is this going to take? I got things to do.
So you're ruining my story here.
Oh, sorry.
So we came and haven't stopped. Just love it. We feel part of the family, and it's been life changing for me.
The only time I've ever gone to church on a consistent basis, and it's the only time I've felt like the people that are here actually care and don't just act the way they do because it's Sunday.
Mm.
And that was eye-opening for me anyway,
Mm-hmm.
because I've always felt that way any church I've ever gone to,
Mm.
that it was all pretty fake, and this feels real, and I needed it.
And maybe fake. Maybe you mean for me what that meant was a whole lot of pretense of I've got it all together.
Yeah, the openness is
And
nice. Yeah.
Right. So the honesty from folks of, boy, this is really who I am. I want to grow. I want to be closer to God, and but I screw up. I make mistakes, and being able to be honest and still love each other through that. Not as my dear friend would say, get my Bible and leave.
Yeah.
So I got baptized because I had never felt a need, because I was baptized as an infant, and just thought that's what you did. And so our kids were both baptized when they were young, and we were doing a class last January, February, and or no, I guess it was spring, but baptism came up like 2 or 3 times in this short span of this class, which seemed odd to me, and it really struck me. And as I prepared for class, and we talked in class about baptism, it just, at first I thought, oh, I don't need to be baptized, I've already been baptized. And then I thought, well, what is baptism? Why do you get baptized? Well, baptism is this outward sign that you are giving your life to Christ. And so how did I do that when I was 2 months old? And then, sorry. So I felt like, okay, well, but I already know that I've given my life to Christ, and I know that, so I don't need to go be baptized. And then I just had this conviction of, no, you don't need to, but I want to, and I wanted to make that public declaration of, this is who I am, and this is how I'm going to live. And to be able to do that together was, it was life-changing.
Mm-hmm.
It was amazing for our marriage, for, I think, for our kids to see that. It caught, they're like, wait a minute, what's going on with
Yeah.
Mom and Dad?
My son asked me at one point, he said, why are you acting so calm?
That was a little new.
Yeah. I'd never really given it much thought, and then when it came up, I really felt the need to do it. And I know it's not necessary, but again, I don't know. It just, for myself, it felt good. What do you think?
What do you mean by it felt good?
I don't know. I felt like coming here was a difference in my life, consistently, and then to do that felt like maybe that was for me like an official turning point, where I could be part of a group maybe, or a church body, a group of Christians, and because I think that's something I miss about the military was that camaraderie, and I'm starting to feel a little bit of that here, and I'm a little skeptical because I'm just that way naturally, but to feel that with some of these guys is pretty good. But like a story I like to tell is when I was in the military, we were doing an exercise, and I was in armor, and so I'm in a 60-ton tank, and I was driving at the time. I was new, and I was trying to see through the vision blocks, and we were going through a heavily forested deal, and I kept running off the track and smashing over things, and I was trying to listen to the commander and see at the same time, and he finally hollered at me. He said, "Close your eyes and just listen." And so I closed my eyes and just listened to his direction, and I was able to get back on track, and things worked out okay. And I think of that because I feel like life is that way sometimes, where God is talking to us, but we're trying to do it ourselves. And if we just close our eyes and trust and listen, we can get back on track again.
Hi, I'm Debbie Bigelow. Believe it or not, I first heard about the Elmira Coulee Dam Community Church at a Grand Coulee Dam Area Chamber of Commerce Economic Development Committee meeting. The topic came up one day that the Coulee Dam Community Church was closing its doors. Some of the community members and business members that were part of our committee at that time were both Merv and Mary Jo Monteith and Tom Poplawski. They came forward and told us that the Elmira Community Church was going to open a campus down here, and they were going to use the Coulee Dam Community Church. So we were very happy about that. And I had known the Monteiths and Poplawskis for quite a while in this community, and both of them approached me and said, "Won't you come to our first Sunday?" And I said, "Absolutely, of course, I will do that." And knew both of them, both of the couples, admired them, and knew that I'd like to be someplace where they were. So I came to the opening service, and I've been there ever since. But when I came to the church, I instantly felt friendship and warmth and welcoming and no judgment. And the people there were so caring and so friendly with each other and openly friendly with myself and my daughter, who started attending with me, that it was worth coming back all the time. In the last year that I've been with the Coulee Dam Community Church campus, I think the most profound thing that God has done in my life is once again give me a church family and fellowship with other Christians. It was never that I'd lost touch with God, but I certainly let the secular life come to the forefront way too many times. And so it's a path that I was happy to go down, to once again make him my priority. Oh, things I love about this church are so numerous, it's almost impossible to remember everything. But I love that this church is Christ-focused. I love that this church and its programs, the direction it goes, is all based upon the Bible. I love that when I come into this church in the morning, the greeters give me a big hug every Sunday. I love the worship team. They're so talented and so giving of their time, and they set the stage for how the whole service feels. I love that Pastor Paul talks straight from the Bible, that we can depend on the fact that what he's talking to us about is the Word of God, and that he does it in such a way that he convicts us while he's teaching us. And I love that he's made me a better person with his sermons. I love communion in this church. It's a very special moment for me. And it's done so beautifully by Pastor Paul. He reminds us of why we are taking communion. And that's truly one of the things that I missed when I was away from church. I love the Bible studies that I'm attending and the wonderful women who have taught me so much and shared so much and helped me to draw closer to God. I love that at 67 years old, I got to have baptism by water through this church. It's something I've wanted to do my whole life, even though I was raised in a church and spent a lot of years in churches. I was never in a church that did baptism by water, and it was always a longing of mine. So I love that part about the church. I'm just so grateful to the Elmira Community Church for seeing the vision of what this church could mean to this community. So thank you.